Good morning to all. In today's session, we are going to start with CSIR NET JRF Chemical Science, June 2007 2016, Part B. Okay. So here, entire Part B session is going to be discussed in today's session, including organic chemistry, inorganic, and physical chemistry as well. Okay. So this kind of previous year question paper discussion will help you for your entrance examination preparation and any competitive examination. Let us discuss today's concepts. Here, June 2016 Chemical Science Part B question paper is going to be discussed. The first question will be question number 21. Identify the species those obey 18 electron rule from the following. The species which is obeying 18 electron rule is considered to be a more stable structure. So among all the four compounds provided, we have to predict which compound is obeying 18 electron rule. In order to get that 18 electron rule, first we have to know what is total valency electron count. Okay, so after predicting total valency electron count, we can map with the 18 electron rule. Okay, so here first is about copper complex. Copper complex contact with cyclopentadienyl anion on one side. In either ligand is carbonyl group. Already we know cyclopentadienyl anion is able to give 5 electrons and the carbonyl group contribute 2 electrons to the complex form. Okay, so in order to count the total valency electron, we have to consider electrons present on the copper, electrons present on the surrounding ligands. For that purpose, copper atomic number 29, outer valency shell configuration is 4s1 3d10. Means total 11 electrons are there in its valency shell. So here 11 electrons contributed by copper, and each CP stands for cyclopentadienyl anion, which will contribute 5 electrons. CO will give 2 electrons, so 11 plus 5 16 plus 2 18. So this compound 1 is obeying 18 electron rule, where in its valency shell 18 electrons are there in its complex form. Now let us go with compound number 2, where manganese, it is in contact with cyclopentadienyl anion and 2 carbonyl groups are there. Being manganese 20 atomic number system and 4s2 3d5 is the outer shell configuration. Total 7 valency electrons are there upon manganese and CP contributing 5 electrons. Here 2 carbonyl groups, that's why 4 electrons are given from these two ligands. Hence 9 plus 7, it will be 16. It is not obeying 18 electron rule. Let us go with third compound, chromium complex. Chromium surrounded with 1 CP and any the 3 carbonyl groups. Chromium, it is 24 atomic number. Outer valency shell configuration will be exceptionally filled 4s1 3d5. Being half filled will be more stable. It is a somewhat violation with respect to that normal electronic configuration. 4s1 3d5 total valency electron count will be 6 in its chromium, and CP will give 5 electrons. Carbonyl groups are 3, so each carbonyl contributing to 2 into 3, it will become 6 electrons. 6 plus 6 12, 12 plus 5 17 electron system it is. Again compound 3 is not obeying 18 electron rule. Now let us go with compound number 4. It is compound number 4, where vanadium surrounded with 1 CP, 4 CO ligands are there. Vanadium is atomic number 23, 4s2 3d3 electronic configuration, and how many 5 electrons are there in vanadium outer shell, and CP is giving 5 electrons. So here 4 carbonyl groups are there. 4 into 2, it will be 8. 10 plus 8, 18 electronic configuration is there. 18 electrons are present in its valency shell. So it is also contributing 18 electron rule. Compound number 1, copper complex and vanadium complex, these two are obeying 18 electron rule. So A and D are the right answer. So for question number 21, option number 4 will be the right answer, which are obeying 18 electron rule, being more stable. Right? Let us move on to question number 22. In question number 22, again, it is the kind of cyclopentadienyl anion complex only. Initially, we are taking rhodium PR3, trialkyl phosphine, and here we have ethyl. Here we have cyclopentadienyl anion. Whole complex is attributed with mono positive charge. Now, it is transformed into rhodium, PPH3, cyclopentadienyl, and one of the hydrogen shifted from alkyl to metal. Here, hydrogen shifted from alkyl to metal so that here olefinic double bond is generated and metal directly bonded with hydrogen. Then, what kind of name we can say for this kind of transformation? This reaction is said to be beta hydride elimination. This is known as beta hydride elimination. Let us see what is meant by beta hydride elimination. When alkyl group is directly linked with the metal, so from that one of the hydrogen will be shifted from carbon to metal. How? Which carbon will be shifted? Which hydrogen will be shifted? Hydrogen. Beta hydrogen will be shifted from alkyl to metal, so that this alkyl is converted into alkene and hydrogen migrated to metal, so that here metal hydride will be formed. This is known as beta hydride elimination, and directly hydrogen from beta position to metal center will be migrated, right? So finally we will get this kind of product, right? So for question number 22, option number 3 will be the right answer. Let us move on to question number 23. Again, it is a part of inorganic chemistry, and we are employing IR spectral data for the nickel complex. Two nickel complexes are provided, nickel plus 2, ligand 6, whole N positive or N minus charge will be there, shows absorption bands at 8,500, 15,400, 26,000 centimeter inverse. Whereas nickel plus 2 ligand 6, N plus or N minus, this is another complex because L was taken as L prime. Then 10,750, 17,500, 28,200 centimeter inverse liter. So here ligand and ligand prime are respectively. Here these two to be predicted. So based on the spectral data, we can confirm. Based on the spectral data only, we can confirm which ligand is there. Okay. So when nickel associated with water, 8,500, 15,000, 26 will be given. When nickel associated with ammonia, 10,000, 17, 28,000 IR absorption bands will be given. And that is also provided in this graphical form also. Then what kind of transition? Where the absorption. Okay. When we are taking water, A to G, T to G takes place around. This is regarding with water, so that 15,000. So at that 15,000, you will get this. Sorry, this is at 8,500. This first peak corresponds to 8,500 because gradually the stretching frequencies are increasing. Then A to G to T1G, that transition is occurring near 15,000. And A to G to this is a T2G, here it will be appeared at 26,000. So this is regarding with water, aqua complex. When ammonia was taken and its peak regions also provided, based on this, it is very clearly understood that, so first IR stretching frequencies corresponds to aqua ligand, second IR stretching frequencies of ammonia ligand. So for question number 23, option number 4, we have water and ammonia. So option number 4 will be the right answer. Let us move on to question number 24. The number of microstates present in 3F term is. So term symbol, we have the formula. If we substitute this term symbol in microstate formula, it is possible to obtain its microstates, right? In order to calculate microstates for 3F, we have the formula 2s plus 1 into 2l plus 1. Okay, so 2s plus 1 and 2l plus 1 was taken. This is corresponds to spin, this corresponds to angular moment. So both can be considered here. So 2s plus 1, what will be the 2s plus 1 here? Superscript value is already given to us, that is 3. This is a spin multiplicity. That is nothing but 2s plus 1 value. So from this you can deduce s value. So 2 into x plus 1 is equal to 3. That is nothing but x is equal to 3 minus 2. So x value is taken as, that means s value is taken as 1. Now f. So this f is the term symbol actually. So that f corresponds to L value 3. If L value 0 denotes S, L value 1 P, L value 2 D, L value 3 F. So here F is there, that indicates what L value is 3. Okay. Then number of microstates, we can substitute this S and L value in the formula 2S plus 1 into 2L plus 1. 2 into 1 plus 1. So 2 into 1, 2 plus 1, it will be 3. Then 2 into L value is 3. So 2 into 3, 6 plus 1. So 3 into 7, it will be 21. How many possible microstates are given for 3F formula? 3F term symbol is associated with 21 microstates. In order to calculate, we have the formula 2s plus 1 into 2l plus 1. S denotes what? Spin of the electron. L denotes angular momentum, right? So from this term symbol, it is very simple to deduce S and L values. If we substitute those values in this, we will get 21 possible microstates. So for question number 24, option number 2 will be the right answer. Let us move on to question number 25. CPM, CP stands for cyclopentadienyl anion and contributing 5 electrons. This fragment will be isolobal with BH fragment. Okay, so here isolobal analogy can be employed here. BH fragment is isolobal with which transition metal complex? Here ligand is given, only metal should be incorporated so that both should be isolobal, right? So isolobal analogy stands for if main group element having total valency electrons 8, that should be isolobal with 18 electrons of transition metal. 7 electrons of main group equal to 17 of transition metal. 6 electron of main group, 16 electrons of transition metal, and so on, right? So in this way, first we have to go with BH. So how many electrons are there in this? BH, boron valency electrons are 3 and hydrogen contribute 1. Total valency electrons of BH, boron hydride, will be 4. In order to get the isolobal analogy, 14 electron system is required now. Okay, BH corresponds to 4 electron system. So 14 electrons should be present in the transition metal so that it will become both are isolobal. Let us go with CpG. Germanium was given. Okay, Cp contribute 5 electrons plus germanium. It is the member of carbon family. 5 plus 4 total electron count will be 9. So may not map with this. CpMn. So Cp gives 5 electrons and manganese. Ns2 Np, sorry, 4s2 3d, 5 electronic configuration means 7 electrons are there. 5 plus 7, it will be 12 electron system. It is also not matching. Then copper ruthenium. Ruthenium being it is the member of iron family. So here we have Cp contributing 5 electrons. Iron means D6 and S2 system. So total valency electrons are 8. 8 plus 5, it will be 13. So it is also not exactly matching with 14 electron system. CpCO, cyclopentadienyl anion with cobalt ligand. So Cp contributing 5, CO. Cobalt is associated with 4s2 3d 7. 7 plus 2, total 9 electrons are there in cobalt. Then 5 plus 9, it will become 14 electrons. So here 14 electrons are mapping with the CpCO. So BH is isolobal with CpCO, where 14 electrons are exactly matching. So it is isolobal. So for question number 25, option number 4 will be the right answer. Let us move on to question number 26. The number of metal-metal bonds present in cobalt 2, Fe2, CO taken 11, mu4, PPH2 is. Here you can clearly observe 2 cobalt metals are there, 2 iron metals are there, 11 carbonyl ligands are there, PPH2 groups are 4. And moreover, mu denotes a bridging ligand. It used to connect both the metals. That's why it is called mu. Mu denotes it used to bridge two different ligands. Now, how many metal-metal bonds are there? That is required to be calculated. So for that purpose, we have the formula. Metal-metal bonds, in order to calculate metal-metal bonds, the formula is 1/2 into 18n minus total valency electrons. N denotes how many metal atoms are there in the given complex. Here, 2 cobalt metals are there and in either 2 iron. Total N count will be N is equal to 4. Means total number of metals are 4. 1/2, 18 into 4 minus total valency electrons present in the complex. Right? So first let us predict total valency electrons. Cobalt being it is 4s2, 3d7. So 9 electrons will be there and 2 cobalt, 2 into 9 it will be. 2 iron atoms are there plus 2 iron atoms. Then each iron 4s2, 3d6 means 8 electrons again. Right? 2 into 8 it will be. 11 carbonyl groups are there plus 11 can be taken and each carbonyl giving 2 electrons, 11 into 2, right? So mu for ppH2. So how many ppH2 ligands are there? 2 ligands are there and they are giving 4 electrons. So here total valency electron count for this complex will be 64. If we multiply and go for the sum of all these, it will given as 64. Total valency electrons are 64. Now let us insert in this formula 1/2, 18 into N. N denotes what? Number of metals. 2 cobalt, 2 iron, so that 4 metals are there. Minus total valency electrons are 64. So 1/2 into 18 into 4 minus 64. It will become 72 minus 64. So it will be 1/2, 8. So 2 4s are. So total possible metal bonds are 4. So among these metals, we have 4 direct metal bonds. For question number 26, option number 2 will be the right answer. Answer is 4, but option is 2, right? So option number 2 is the right answer. Let us move on to question number 27. The correct combination of pi bonding and pi anti-bonding orbitals of B2 molecule is. Boron molecule was given. In this, we have to assign what is pi star. So it is direct question. Sigma bonding orbital always considered as a gerade. Sigma anti-bonding denotes ungerade. Pi bonding is called ungerade. Pi anti-bonding is called gerade orbital. In case of this boron molecule, pi to pi star interaction is there. So pi to pi star interaction is nothing but pi bonding. So if pi bonding is there, that is denoted as ungerade orbital. So pi bonding is denoted as ungerade orbital. Then pi anti-bonding is called gerade orbital. Pi anti-bonding is called gerade orbital. So correct statement is given in the option number 2. That's the reason why for question number 27, option number 2 will be the right answer. Pi ungerade to pi star gerade bonding is possible in boron molecule. So option number 2 is the correct one. Let us move on to question number 28. The correct shape of tellurium A5 whole minus ion on the basis of Vesper theory. Okay, based on Vesper theory, we have to predict what is the shape of the molecule. There is a slight difference between geometry and shape of the molecule. If in accordance with the hybridization, if molecule is structure is given as such, that is called a geometry. If lone pair of electrons are not considered in the structure formation, that is called shape of the molecule. Now let us predict tellurium F5 minus what will be the geometry and shape of the molecule. Tellurium, oxygen, sulfur, selenium, tellurium, polonium. So it is the oxygen family element. Outer electronic configuration will be 5s2, 5p4. Total 6 electrons are there. So in the ground state term, it will be 5s2 and 6p4 will be there. So in order to get these many bonds, these 2 electrons will be excited. Upon excitation, it will be converted into S1p3d2 system. So all these orbitals get mixed. So it is converted into sp3d2. Now what will be the hybridization? sp3d2 hybridization. As per the sp3d2 hybridization, the geometry is attributed to octahedral. Okay, octahedral will be the geometry. But in case of this one, only 5 fluorine atoms are there. One is a negative charge. One electron contribute the charge on the complex. So that one of the electron got excluded. Only 5 bonds with fluorines will be considered. 5 bond pairs are there. Why? The shape of the molecule will be square pyramidal. Shape of the molecule will be square pyramidal, right? So they are asking for shape of the molecule only. So square pyramidal is the right answer. Being it is sp3d2 hybridization with one lone pair of electron, it is considered as a square pyramidal. For question number 28, option number 2 will be the right answer. Let us move on to question number 29. The number of PS and PP bonds present in P4S3. Okay. P4S3, how many PS bonds and how many PP bonds are there? We have to depict. For that purpose, here is the structure of P4S3. How many phosphorus atom? 1, 2, 3, 4 phosphorus atom and S3. 3 sulfur atoms are there. Each phosphorus is in how many? 1, 2, 3 bonds are there. This phosphorus also 3 bond, this phosphorus 3 bond, this phosphorus also 3 bonds. Now what they're asking for? How many PS bonds are there? Here, this is 1 PS bond, this is second PS bond, this is third PS bond, right? So these many PS bonds are there. And how many PP bonds are there? How many? Here 1 PP bond, 2 PP bond, 3 PP bonds are there. Okay. Let us see how many PS bonds are there. PSP, PSP, PSP. Right? So here the number of PS bonds will be. So number of PS bonds will be P2S1, this S2P1, P2S3, S2P4, P2S5, S2P6. Right? P2P1, P2P2, P2P3. So total number of PS bonds are PSP bonds are 3, PS bonds are 6, PP bonds are 3. So they're asking for PS bonds. That's why 6 bonds are there. PP bonds are 3. So for question number 29, option number 1 will be the right answer. Right? So it is the kind of system where we have 4 phosphorus and 3 sulfur atoms, and they are inclined in this manner. Here we have triangle shape, and they are connected with the phosphorus in this manner. So PS bonds are 6 and PP bonds are 3, right? And here we also predicted their bond distances. In between PS bond, the distance will be 2.23 angstroms, and in between PP, sorry, it will be PP. In between PP bond, the bond distance will be 2.09. So this PS bond will be somewhat larger when compared to PP bond, right? So PS bond is somewhat larger. Now let us move on to next question 30. In the iodometric titration of sodium thiosulfate with acidic dichromate, 25 ml of 0.1 molar dichromate requires 25 ml of X molar thiosulfate. The value of X is, okay, it is a kind of iodometric titration. By using iodometric titration, it is possible to identify how much iodine consumed by this hypo. Okay, starch used as the indicator, and so in this we are taking potassium dichromate and treated with potassium iodide. Initially we got iodine liberated within the reaction. So this reaction carried in dark conditions, and this liberated iodine can be titrated against hypo. Hypo is nothing but chemically known as sodium thiosulfate, Na2S2O3. So upon treating with this one, here the formation of sodium tetrathionate and sodium iodide is possible. This is the possible chemical transformation. Now what they are asking, 21 ml of 0.1 molar dichromate requires 25 ml of X molar thiosulfate. So we have to use distribution law formula N1V1 by N1 is equal to N2V2 by N2. Capital N denotes normality, small n denotes the valency, right? So N2 is equal to N1 V1 by N2 by V2 into N1. So N1 normality of one of the solution which we are taking, that is a dichromate. If we are assuming left hand terms belongs to dichromate, right hand terms belongs to sodium thiosulfate. So that N1 becomes normality of dichromate, that is 0.1, and V1 stands for volume of dichromate solution 25 ml by its valency. So this potassium dichromate is transferring 6 electrons in the system. Here chromium plus 2 state, chromium, what is the oxidation state of chromium here? 14 minus 2, 12, it is 12 by 2. 2 chromiums we have. So here chromium exists in plus 6 oxidation state, and after the reaction turned into plus 3. Means each chromium is transferring 3 electrons. Total electrons transfer, because we have 2 chromium, right? So 6 electrons being transferred, so that N1 becomes 6 by 25. If we cancel, it will become 0.6. What will be the value? 0.6. For question number 30, option number 3 will be the right answer, right? So 25 ml of 0.1 molar dichromate consumes 25 ml of 0.6 molar thiosulfate solution. So option number 3 will be the right answer. Let us move on to question number 31. Decomposition temperature of calcium carbonate in the thermogravimetric analysis will be highest in the dynamic atmosphere of, right? So decomposition temperature, when calcium carbonate subjected to thermogravimetric analysis. Thermogravimetry is nothing but by changing temperature, what is the weight loss we have to analyze, right? So in this process, what kind of dynamic atmosphere is required? So calcium carbonate can be dissociated into calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. This is the decomposition reaction of calcium carbonate. Decomposition reaction of calcium carbonate. But what is the condition we require? Is we require 1:1 mixture of oxygen and carbon monoxide. The mixture of oxygen and carbon monoxide should be maintained. If we maintain oxygen and carbon monoxide, here decomposition temperature will become highest. So that decomposition, so this is the decomposition reaction. Calcium carbonate upon thermogravimetric analysis, it will be decomposed into calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. This reaction temperature will be facilitated, elevated by the atmospheric condition. What is the condition? 1:1 mixture of oxygen and carbon monoxide should be taken. For question number 31, option number 3 will be the right answer. Let us move on to question number 32. On 2 sequential electron capture, barium 56-131 will give. So what barium is doing? Barium is accepting 2 electrons. Upon taking 2 electrons, what will be the formed product? So this is a kind of absorption reaction. It is not emission. So here it is not fission. So it is absorption reaction. What barium is doing? It is taking 2 electrons. Upon taking 2 electrons, always when electron is added, what is the electron mass number, electron charge? Electron is associated with -1 charge, and the mass will be almost negligible, unique mass as 0. That's why when electron absorbed by this barium, mass will not be changed. Mass number will not be varied. 131 remains as 131 only, right? But electron when added, one of the its atomic number will be descended. Instead of ascending, it will be descended. -1. We have to do -1. So subtraction of 1 unit will be there. So when 1 electron is added, atomic mass will not be varied, so that 131 remains as 131 only. Now 56 turned into 55. But here, how many electrons we are adding? 2 electrons. That's why again second electron also added, 131 remains as 131. 55 now turned into 54. So 54, 131 is given only in the option number 1. 54, 131, this corresponds to noble gas of xenon. So this atomic number corresponds to 56 is barium, 54 is xenon. Okay. Only the thing we have to remember is when electron capture is possible, atomic number loss is possible by 1 unit. We are adding 2 electrons, that's why 2 atomic number loss is possible. 56 can be decreased to 54, right? So atomic mass will not be varied because mass of the electron is negligible. Even electron is added, mass will not be altered because weight of electron is 0, right? So for question number 32, option number 1 will be the right answer. Option number 1, we have 54, xenon 131. So this will be the correct answer. Let us move on to question number 33. The compound which dissolves POCl3 to give a solution with highest chloride ion concentration, right? Highest chloride ion concentration, which compound is able to give, we have to predict. Okay, so whenever potassium chloride is added to POCl3, now it is turned into a concentrated solution of PCl3. Where the chloride concentration is highest, it is the better chlorinating agent, right? PCl3 is the better chlorinating agent where the chlorine concentration is more. That is given by the addition of potassium chloride. Phosphorus oxychloride, upon treating with potassium chloride, there is a formation of potassium chlorate plus phosphorus trichloride. Here the concentration of chloride ion is more. So for question number 33, option number 2 will be the correct answer. Let us move on to question number 34. In the absence of bound globin, right? Here it is the part of bioinorganic chemistry. Hemoglobin is the pigment which is the very essential for oxygen's transportation in the living organisms. Most of the living organisms are associated with hemoglobin as a red color pigment which carries the oxygen, right? So during this transformation, here we have two parts of that hemoglobin. One is heme, that means metallic part. Second is protein part. Metallic part is the heme, iron containing pigment, and second is globin, globular protein will be there. What they are asking for, in the absence of bound globin chain, heme group on exposure to oxygen gives iron oxygen species. If in hemoglobin only heme is added but not globin, that means protein part is absent. In that case, we will get one compound with oxygen. What will be the product? So the product will be hematine. Hematine is nothing but iron plus 3, oxygen iron plus 3, and remaining iron is bounded with porphyrin ring system, right? Here globin is absent. So this hematine further oxygen transportation is not possible because it is in dimeric form. This oxygen will not be transferred. So that will not be exchanged freely. It will be stable. That's why. So upon this dimerization, that kind of oxygen transportation in the human body will be reduced. So if hematine is formed, let us see what are the sequential steps for hematine formation. Here, iron initially resting state where deoxyhemoglobin we are taking, where we have iron in +2 state, and it is bounded with P. P here, it indicates porphyrin ring. Now it is added with oxygen. So oxygen bounded to iron like this, right? Later, one more porphyrin ring containing iron +2, heme, one more iron molecule is added. One more heme molecule is added here. Now it is converted into peroxy dimer. Peroxy stands for what? Oxygen, oxygen. Single bond is denoted as a peroxy bond. So single bond oxygen is highly unfavorable, highly easily prone for the cleavage of the bond, so that this peroxy dimer will be cleaved in between. So it turned into iron +4 double bond O. Now they get dimerized in this manner so that iron +3 single oxygen will be bounded. So this is known as hematine. This is known as hematine. Oxodimer, the formed one. This final compound is called oxodimer. This Fe+3 OO bond is called peroxydimer. Peroxydimer easily cleaved, but oxodimer is highly stable. This is called hematine. If it turned into hematine, further oxygen transportation becomes difficult in the human system. So for question number 34, option number 1 will be the correct answer, right? Let us move on to question number 35. So it is the kind of lanthanides and actinides A block elements. It is the part of A block elements for monoionic complex uranium O2 NO3 taken thrice minus the correct coordination number and geometry respectively. It is somewhat tricky question because everybody thinks that nitrate is the monodentate ligand. In general, we can take nitrate as the monodentate ligand only. If it is considered as a monodentate ligand, what happens? How many nitrates are there? 3 and 2 oxygens. So now uranium is bounded with only 5 ligands. Coordination number will become 5 only and geometry will be different. But nitrate having exceptional property whenever it is bounded with heavier atoms. Smaller atoms, its denticity will be, it will give only 1 electron pair. But in case of higher heavy elements, NO3 becomes a bidentate ligand. Nitrate becomes a bidentate and there is a formation of chelate ring. So this is an exceptional condition, only possible it is bounded with heavy elements. So whenever uranium is in contact with nitrate, each nitrate contributing 2 electron pairs, nothing but 2 bonds are there. So here it becomes bidentate ligand. So 6 bonds with these nitrates and 2 bonds with oxygen. 6 plus 2 total 8 bonds it will become rather than 5 bonds. Okay. So 8 will be the coordination number. Coordination number is nothing but number of bonds around the central metal. Uranium bounded with 2 oxygens, 2 bonds, and each nitrate contributing 2 bonds. 2 into 3, 6. 6 plus 2, 8. Total uranium, 8 bonds are there around that. So that it will become 8 coordinated complex. Now let us see what will be the complex structure. Right? So uranium coordination number is 8 and nitrate, here nitrate working like a bidentate ligand. How it will become bidentate? Because 2 oxygens contributing 2 electron pairs. So uranium bonded with nitrate in this chelated manner, and this structure is called a hexagonal bipyramidal. This is denoted as a hexagonal bipyramidal. That hexagonal bipyramidal is provided in the option number 1. For question number 35, option number 1 will be the right answer. Let us move on to question number 36. Chelate effect. Again, it is a part of coordination complexes. So coordination complexes are associated with chelate ring formation. Here it is clearly observed this kind of ring structure formation with the ligand is called chelation. More than 1 electron releasing groups when present, then only chelate ring formation is possible. If only 1 electron pair is donated, that is monodentate and non-chelate. Only open chain molecule will be there. So then if chelation is there, what kind of thermodynamic change we can observe? Predominantly enthalpy change, predominantly entropy change, and independent of ring size, and due to equal contribution of entropy and enthalpy. What will be the change? Here, chelate effect is mostly associated with the entropy change. Entropy denotes what? Measure of randomness is called entropy. So if any particle having tendency to migrate, tendency to move here and there, that is called entropy, right? So if gaseous species when taken, they are freely moving, for those species we are having higher entropy. If you are taking solid substance, all are compact and fixed position, that associated with lesser entropy. Now, when chelation was taken, in case of chelation of the molecule, chelating ligand replaces several monodentate ligands, right? So, increasing the number of free molecule system, meaning relatively large increasing the entropy is possible. So, entropy variation is observed in case of chelation effect. This major energetic factor driving the chelate effect. Okay, so based on that chelation, it will impart the stability that is directly linked with this entropy parameter. So that question number 30 will be the right answer. Let us move on to, let us discuss with one simplest example. This is the open chain molecule and we are taking ethylene diamine. What is the ligand? Ethylene diamine, being it is the bidentate, is able to replace 2 amines with this ethylene diamine. Here chelation is possible. So there is a obviously change in entropy is possible. Entropy variation can be possible, right? So that is only the parameter which is mainly affected by this chelate effect. So entropy will be varied with a chelating effect. Right. So next is from organic chemistry. It is photochemistry question. Photolytic conditions are employed on ONO nitrosyl functional group. The major product formed in the following reaction. Here long chain hydrocarbon is there in the terminal center ONO. Here nitrosyl group is there. And upon treating with H nu conditions, what reaction carried? This is the named reaction called Barton reaction. Barton reaction can be employed when ONO group is there and having free alpha, beta, gamma, delta hydrogens. When free delta hydrogen and this ONO group is there under photochemical conditions, it will be participated in the cyclic form, and finally this nitrosyl group will be shifted to delta position, delta hydrogen shifted to oxygen, so that terminal OH and delta nitrosyl group will be generated. Delta nitrosyl group found in option number 4. Let us see what is mean by Barton reaction. Barton reaction involves homolytic fission, means entire reaction get proceeded with free radical reaction. That means homolytic cleavage of the bonds are possible. And the compulsory condition is presence of delta hydrogen. Delta hydrogen will be abstracted and a recombination followed by tautomerism get carried, and delta hydrogen gives rise to 6-membered intermediate form. From that we will get nitrosyl hydroxyl compound in the final product. So here ONO, upon treating with H nu conditions, delta nitrosyl group will be generated, and here terminal hydroxy group is there. How the reaction proceeded, let us see. We are taking ONO group at the terminal center. Here bond can be cleaved in the homolytic manner, so that oxygen radical, NO radical is obtained. Two odd electron containing species are obtained. In the next step, this is the deciding factor where alpha, beta, gamma, delta. This delta hydrogen is able to form this delta hydrogen able to form a cyclic transition state. Here, because 6 members more stable, delta hydrogen will be selectively abstracted. If alpha or beta position hydrogen abstracted, what happens? Ring size will be less. If ring size is less, that will not be a stable form. That's why selectively delta hydrogen will be abstracted by the oxygen, and it will be transformed into carbon free radical. This carbon free radical now bonded with this nitrosyl group at this delta position, and whenever it bounded, what happens? We will get the NOH. NOH will be obtained. So it involved in ketoenol tautomerism. So enol can be transformed into ketonic form, like a nitrosyl group will be generated, right? So finally we will get option number 4. So nitrosyl group will be generated at this delta position, and terminal OH will be there. So in this Barton reaction, for question number 37, option number 4 will be the correct answer, right? Let us move on to question number 38. The major product formed in the following reaction. Again, it is a part of organic chemistry. We are taking a nitro compound and treated with sodium hydroxide, isopropanol. Isopropyl aldehyde was taken. Titanium trichloride plus water. This is called NEF reagent. So NEF reagent is added in the step number 2. In step number 1, NaOH and isopropanol will be added. Now let us see the final product. In order to get this, we have sequence of mechanism. First, we are taking nitroethane. The IUPAC name of this compound will be nitroethane. Nitroethane treated with sodium hydroxide, it will pull hydrogen from alpha position and carbene will be formed. This carbene involved in enolic form, ketoenol tautomerism, being it is highly stable, and a resonance stabilizer structure will be formed. Now, this carbene bounded to propanol. Propanol is nothing but CH3C, CH3C double bond OH. At this carbonylic center, bonded. So new carbon-carbon bond is generated. Upon protonation, it turned into hydroxy containing compound. We have NO2 OH groups in the alkyl chain. Now it is treated with NAF reagent. What is NAF reagent? Titanium trichloride with water is called NAF reagent. The purpose of NAF reagent is conversion of nitro group into ketonic group. Wherever nitro functional group is there, that will be transformed into ketonic functional group. So within the compound we have second position carbonyl, third position hydroxy, fourth position methyl. What will be the IUPAC name of the compound? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 3 hydroxy, 5 methyl, 5 remember pentanone, right? 3 hydroxy, 4 methyl, pentanone. 2 pentanone will be the name of the compound. Where it will be generated? In option number 4, right? In the first step, what we are doing? We are abstracting H plus and carbene will be generated. That carbene will be added to this aldehyde group and we got hydroxy containing compound. In the presence of TiCl3H2O, it will be converting NO2 into double bond O. So final product will be option number 4, right? Sorry, option number 2. So second position we have carbonyl, third position OH will be there. 2 pentanone, just now we said 2 pentanone, right? 2 pentanone is present in option number 2. So for question number 38, option number 2 will be the correct answer, right? So let us move on to question number 39. So this is the kind of Narbonne system, and here we have a tosyl hydrazone derivative, right? Tosyl hydrazone derivative. So this is the starting material. Now it is treated with N-butyl lithium of 2 equivalent. N-butyl lithium is a strong base, right? So alkyl lithium is always used for the generation of carbene ions, and DMF, dimethyl formamide. Usually dimethyl formamide used as a solvent, and in general that is also working like a reagent also, right? So for this hydrazone, first we are treating with butyl lithium followed by dimethyl formamide. What will be the product we will get? Let us see. So here hydrazone and N-butyl lithium of 2 equivalents was added. When 2 equivalents N-butyl lithium was added, this entire, so already we know this tosyl hydrazone is a better leaving group, and this will be discarded. This will be completely eliminated. And how can we eliminate? Just let us look at into this. When butyl lithium was added, butyl lithium is a base, right? So adjacent to this hydrazone derivative, this adjacent position will become acidic. Acidic hydrogens will be there, and here carbene will be generated. That carbene will be migrated so that it will be back transformed, and this entire group will be eliminated. When group is eliminated, and you will substitute with this lithium here. Substitution with lithium is possible. So now it will be treated with DMF. Just now we saw second reagent added will be DMF. DMF is called dimethyl. N, N dimethyl formamide is called DMF. So DMF have dual purpose. One is solvent. Second is reagent. What kind of reagent? Formylating reagent. DMF is used to provide formyl group. Formyl is nothing but aldehyde group is provided by this one. How it will be? When lithium is eliminated, lithium positive is eliminated, so that here you will obtain carbene. That carbene bounded to carbonylic center. When it is attached to carbonylic center, you will get O, carbon new single bond will be generated. Here O minus will be there. O minus will be back polarized, so that this NN dimethyl group will be discarded. So here simply we will get aldehyde group at terminal center. And in presence of N-butyl lithium, here we got one double bond. So with this DMF, we got simply aldehyde group at the center. Vinylic carbon attached with aldehydic center. So final product will be option number 1. In the option number 1, we have double bond, and even here vinylic aldehyde, right? So here N-butyl lithium, first it will abstract the H plus from this tosyl group. So here double bond formation is possible. Later N-butyl lithium will abstract the H plus from this carbon atom, so that carbene will be generated. This will be polarized, and here single bond is there, that will be cleaved in this manner. So tosyl group will be completely removed. Here we got lithium. And when DMF is added, being it is a formulating agent, from this aldehyde will be added and lithium will be discarded. The final product will be option number 1. For question number 39, option number 1 will be the right answer. Let us move on to question number 40. Among the following, the compound that displays IR band at 2150. So again, it is a part of IR stretching frequency. In case of IR stretching frequency, 2150 corresponds to azide. Here we have aza bond, N comma N double bond is there. And here we have ester linkage. And here we have amide linkage. Amide is 1690 around. Then ester is around 1780. And N3 will corresponds to 2150. So this is the correct. Even carbonyl also gives CO group when directly linked to metal. In that case also we have 2150. But here that group is not given. So only the option is azide. So that azide is represented in this manner. Nitrogen double bond N positive, double bond N negative. So this bond stretching requires the frequency of 2150 centimeter inverse. So for question number 40, option number 3 will be the right answer, right? Azabenzene. This is known as azabenzene. Azabenzene will give peak at 2150 in IR spectrum. Next, proton NMR spectroscopy question. In the proton NMR spectrum of myrtenol. So the compound given is myrtenol. Myrtenol is a bicyclic system. Myrtenol, so it is a terpenoid. Myrtenol is a terpenoid system. And in this myrtenol, proton NMR spectrum, the 2 methyl groups are expected to display signals. Here we have it just like alpha pinene. This structure also resembles alpha pinene, where we have 2 methyl groups in the same manner. Here also we have 2 methyl groups in the small ring, in the second small ring. So here we have 2 methyl groups. Whether these 2 methyl groups are identical, isotropic or anisotropic, first we have to depict. Later, their corresponding delta values in proton NMR spectrum are required. If we see these 2 methyl, one of the methyl is in the surroundings of one olefinic double bond and CH2 group is there, aldehyde. So it is experiencing one kind of environment. When we go with the second environment of methyl, it is associated with CH, CH2, CH. So both the methyl are not exactly identical. Both are not exactly symmetrical. Hence we can say these 2 methyl groups are anisotropic. These 2 methyl are anisotropic, not having equivalent nature. Both are different set. So if both are different set, option number 3 and 4 both are wrong. So only one kind of signal is given because they are thinking like both are identical. So both are identical concept is wrong. Only the possibility is either option number 1 or 2. Let us see in this myrtenol, one of the methyl which is near to olefinic and aldehyde group experiencing high negative charge impact. That is closure to negative charge. That's why de-shielding effect is appeared. This methyl is experiencing de-shielding effect. De-shielding effect always downfield shift will be there. So value will be appeared at 1.33. Here methyl with 3 hydrogens are appearing at 1.33 ppm value. Whenever we are taking this methyl, here this methyl is far away from electron withdrawing, far away from double bond, so that is not experiencing higher electronegative charge. So this methyl is a shielded zone, so that it will be upfield value. So compared to this one, upfield value with respect to TMS, that is 0.74 ppm value is given for all 3 hydrogens. Okay, so 0.74 and 1.33 value will be appeared. This is purely because of both are considered as a 2 different set of methyl groups. Both are not identical. And here shielding effect 0.74, the shielding effect 1.33. So singlet will be appeared for 3 hydrogens. For question number 41, option number 2 will be the correct answer. Let us move on to question number 42. 3 different compounds are given. Among 3 different compounds, we have to predict which is the terpene compound. Which is terpene, which is naturally occurring alkaloid, which is other compound we have to depict. Right? So the first compound is benzene ring surrounded with another cyclic ring with a double bond O. So this is a kind of chromin system. So coumarin, chromin kind of systems are present. Those are the phytochemicals, right? So this is a part of chromin system, which is not terpene, right? And the second one, if we see, this is the system of terpene, and here we condensed with hydroxylamine. So it is the oxime derivative of terpene. So it is the part of terpene system. They are asking for not exactly terpene. Terpene derivative they are asking. It is the derivative of terpene. What derivative? Oxime derivative. Because we condensed with hydroxylamine. So here oxime derivative of terpene is obtained. Okay. So and this is the terpene. And third compound, if we see, if any compound which contains nitrogen within the ring structure, within the main skeleton, that is called alkaloid. So third compound will be alkaloid. First compound chromin, second compound terpene, third compound alkaloid. They are asking only terpene, so only B is the correct answer. B is provided in option number 3, right? So let us see in detail. This is the system. Benzene with another lactone type of ring at 1,4 position called chromin, and this system is said to be a terpene. And last one, within the cyclic ring system, bicyclic ring system, we have nitrogen as the part of ring, hence it is known as alkaloid. The essential condition for alkaloid is naturally occurring nitrogen containing compounds are called alkaloids, right? So only option number B is the correct one. That is given in option number 3. For question number 42, option number 3 will be the right answer. Let us move on to question number 43. The frontier orbital interactions involved in the formation of carbocation intermediate in the reaction with isobutylene with HCl are. Isobutylene, just it is the reaction of addition reaction. We are taking double bond and added with HCl and turned into a compound of chloro substituted saturated compound will be generated. This is the addition reaction. In this addition reaction, what is the interaction pattern of frontier orbitals? So what orbitals of isobutene, what orbitals of HCl got interacted? For that purpose, we have the mechanism. We are taking isobutene. Isobutene is the 4 carbon chain with a 4 carbon branched chain with 1 double bond and treated with HCl. So this double bond is represented in this manner. P orbitals are overlapped in the lateral overlapping, sideways overlapping. P interaction will be represented, right? So this is the P orbital, right? And it is treated with HCl. So when hydrogen chlorine when combined, sigma star orbital of one hydrogen and sigma orbital of hydrogen, in this way we got combined. So it is the kind of interaction. Now when these two get combined, HCl, when this isobutylene get combined with this HCl, what kind of interactions? So what kind of interaction get carried? Sigma star orbital get combined with this isobutylene molecule. In this way, it will be interacted. In this way, it will be pi orbital. This is called what? Isobutylene pi orbital was taken, and sigma star orbital of HCl molecule get interacted with this one. So sigma star, so pi orbital of isobutylene, sigma star orbital of HCl got interacted, so that H will be abstracted here, and here we got carbocation. Carbocation will be originated. They are asking carbocation only. During the formation of carbocation, what kind of a frontier orbital interaction among isobutylene and HCl? Pi orbital of isobutylene, sigma star orbital of HCl got combined, so that we got carbocation intermediate. From this, further Cl will be added and it will be turned into chloro compound. Saturated compound will be formed. So here the correct answer will be pi of olefin and sigma star of HCl get combined. So for question number 43, option number 1 will be the correct answer. Let us move on to question number 44. Again, it is a kind of organic chemistry question. Protection, deprotection. Okay. So protection, deprotection portion problem was given. Here, the major product in the following reaction. Starting material here you can clearly observe. This is the carboxylic acid. So it is protected with benzoyl group. This is the amino group protected with CBZ. CBZ is nothing but PHCH2OCO that is provided within the problem. CBZ is nothing but, right? So PHCH2OCO is called CBZ, that is used for the protection of amine. And here also again amine is there which is protected by BOC. So if we deprotect these two functional groups, it is clearly indicated as alpha amino acid, right? It is alpha amino acid. So all the functional groups present in the compound got protected. Now it is in protected nature. So it is added with deprotecting agent now. What is the deprotecting agent? Hydrogen in the presence of 10% palladium carbon. This 10% palladium carbon is a selective deprotecting agent for amine and carboxylic acid, which are in the alpha position. Okay, this palladium carbon is a selective deprotecting agent. Even here also we have amine, but the amine will not be impacted because it is not in alpha position with respect to this carboxylic acid. Only amino acid deprotection we can selectively use the palladium carbon. So here it is very clear that hydrogen palladium carbon in the presence of ethanol solvent was added. This CBZ and this benzoyl group will be deprotected rather than BOC. So here free carboxylic acid and NH2 will be possible. So these two will be generated. This is called alpha amino acid. Alpha amino acid, BOC will not be impacted. BOC will not be removed. So here BOC removed, this is not correct. BOC is there, but here CBZ not removed. BOC is there, but benzoyl not removed. So only in the option number 1, only BOC is there, CBZ and benzoyl will be removed. Option number 1 is the correct answer for question number 44, right? Option number 1 is the correct answer. Let us move on to question number 45. Again, it is a part of spectroscopy. UV visible absorption spectrum of alpha beta unsaturated carbonyl compound and with interacting solvent polarity. Okay. So by increasing solvent polarity, alpha beta unsaturated carbonyl compound, what kind of shift is observed, we have to depict. Okay. So this is purely based on factors influencing UV visible spectroscopy. So here two kind of transitions you can observe with respect to change in the lambda max values. By means of any factor, lambda max value is rising, lambda max value is increasing, that is known as bathochromic shift, alternatively known as red shift. By means of any factor, lambda max values will be descending, decreasing, that factor is called a hypsochromic shift, which is also known as blue shift, right? So here alpha beta unsaturated carbonyl compound was given. Alpha beta unsaturated carbonyl compound is nothing but, so if that carbonyl group, I'm taking double bonded system, I'm taking carbon, double bond, carbon. Now single bond, carbon, double bond, O. This is called alpha beta unsaturated carbonyl system. So whenever carbonyl system is in direct contact with one double bond, this system is known as alpha beta unsaturated carbonyl group. Whenever this compound was taken, what kind of transitions are possible in the compound? Here this olefinic double bond only participate in pi to pi star transition. So this olefinic double bond, pi to pi star transition is possible. But when we are taking this C double bond O group, what transition is possible? Two kind of transitions are possible. One is pi to pi star, second is N to pi star. Means this oxygen being it is the hetero atom associated with two lone pair of electrons. So non-bonding electrons and the oxygen will participate in transition, so that N to pi star transition also possible. Pi to pi star, N to pi star both are possible for carbonyl, right? So if we take this alpha beta unsaturated carbonyl compound and it is treated with solvent, that is polar solvent is added, what kind of changes appeared? I'm taking simplest example in order to explain this. So here two transitions are possible. One is N to pi star, second is pi to pi star. So in case of N to pi star, general prediction we are taking that can be applicable to R compound also. In case of N to pi star, I'm taking simplest example, amino group. Here also we have lone pair of electrons and a double bonded system, so that N to pi star is possible. So this aniline will appear at 280 nanometers. Under normal condition, aniline absorption will be at 280. But when it dissolved in water, its transition shifted to 265. Why? Because here lone pair of electrons present in the nitrogen will be participated in the bonding with proton. So here lone pair of electrons lost in this molecule when polar solvent is added. Lone pair of electrons will be bonded with hydrogen. So no lone pair of electrons. So excitation becomes difficult. Excitation requires high energy. If high energy is there, reciprocal to wavelength will be lowered. That's the reason why if we are having polar solvent, non-bonding electrons will be disappeared. If non-bonding electrons disappeared, what happens? Energy requirement for the excitation will be more. So if energy is more, wavelength will be lower. Means initial value will be lowered. In the same manner, we can apply same principle to our alpha beta unsaturated carbonyl compound also. When added with polar solvent, the lone pair of electrons in the oxygen will be bonded to H plus, so that oxonium will be formed. N to pi star will not be possible, and excitation will shift it to lower lambda max value. Lower lambda max value is denoted with what? Hypsochromic. Lower lambda max value is denoted with hypsochromic. So N to pi star transition undergo hypsochromic shift is the correct statement. Right. Now let us see what is about pi to pi star. What is the change in pi to pi star? Pi to pi star is nothing but pi bonded electrons. Two positions we have pi bonded electrons. Here pi bond is there, here pi bond is there. Right. So if you are taking pi to pi star transition, so carbonyl group is there. That carbonyl group under normal condition, it will be less polar. There is no bond polarization. But solvent is added, polar solvent is added, there is a charge separation. Oxygen acquired partial negative, carbon and associated with partial positive charge accordingly, right? So hence we can say under polar conditions, more polar charged species, charge separated species is generated. Pi bonding is non-polar, but pi antibonding orbital under polar solvent conditions becomes more polar in nature, so that it will be more stabilized. Right. So in this case, what you can observe, so pi bonding orbital is neutral, but polar solvent will generate the polarized molecule which will stabilize, so that longer wavelength will be appeared. Longer wavelength corresponds to bathochromic shift. Wavelength is longer, that is denoted as bathochromic shift. Decreasing the wavelength is called hypsochromic. Increasing the wavelength is called bathochromic. N to pi star will participate in hypsochromic. Pi to pi star will participate in bathochromic shift. The reason for hypsochromic shift of N to pi star is lone pair of electrons lost by the protonation in polar solvent. Pi to pi star rise is due to becoming into a charged polar species under polar solvent conditions. It will be more stabilized in that pi star state rather than pi state, so that lambda max value will be increased, right? So here N to pi star is hypsochromic, pi to pi star will be bathochromic. For question number 45, option number 1 will be the correct answer. Let us move on to question number 46. We are taking the bicyclic system having oxygen ether linkage is there within the cyclic ring structure. Now, here we have the side chains of benzene ring, phenyl group is there, and here epoxide is there, here methoxy group is there. The major product formed in the following reaction. What will be the product? Upon treating with lithium aluminum hydride of one equivalent, here we have to conscious about the equivalence of lithium aluminum hydride, and the solvent is THF, 0 degree centigrade, means the controlled conditions are provided here, right? So already we know lithium aluminum hydride is a strong reducing agent. Okay, so it used to deprotect this epoxide. It used to reduce this epoxide and methoxy group as well. But the condition provided is only one equivalent, that means controlled. A limited amount of lithium aluminum hydride is given and 0 degrees temperature maintained. Lower temperature, lower the quantity of reagent. Then what will be the product? Which group will be reduced? We have to depict. So for that purpose, different options are there. But even though we have oxygens within the ring structure and outside the ring structure. So let us see how many type of possibilities we have. Here we have a cyclic ring. That means cyclic ether is there of 6-membered. Here also cyclic ether is there, that is of 3-membered. Here also ether, but that is the open chain molecule. Here also you can say this is a ether, 6-membered ring with 2 oxygen atoms. All are ethers only. Within the compound, the entire compound given as ether only. But where the selective reduction with lithium aluminum hydride is possible, we have to depict. Among all, more strained one is this cyclic epoxide. 3-membered ring with oxygen is highly strained. So it is unfavorable condition at all, because within the 3-membered, being oxygen associated with 2 lone pair of electrons will not become stable. Always it tends to open the ring and it used to reduce. That's the reason why lithium aluminum hydride, being it is only one equivalent, it will selectively reduce this cyclic epoxide. Remaining groups will not be impacted. Methoxy remains as such, cyclic ethers also remains as such, only epoxide ring will be reduced here, right? So that is provided in the option number 1. In option number 2, what happened? OH generated at this position, no. OH generated at this position only, it will be stable. Why axial? Actually, always bulky group in the equatorial position will be stable rather than axial. But here that also we have to consider. Why axial OH generated rather than this equatorial? So because this OH generated will be intermolecularly hydrogen bonded with these oxygen atoms. So when it is inclined in the axial position, then only it is possible to get that hydrogen bonding, intermolecular hydrogen bonding. If it is there in this position, it is not possible. So option number 1 is the exact answer for the question provided. So in this, all the ether compounds are there, but only this epoxide will be selectively reduced. And moreover, we got axial hydroxy because it able to form a stable intermolecular hydrogen bonding with these oxygen linkages. So here option number 1 is the correct answer for question number 46. Let us move on to question number 47. So it is the kind of biphenyl system. So here this naphthalene ring, this is called naphthalene, this is also naphthalene. So both naphthalene rings got connected, and this naphthalene having CH2OH and this naphthalene also having CH2OH. Now here CH2OH, the hydrogens present on this carbon atom are represented with HA and HB. In the following compound, the stereochemical descriptor for HA and HB, what kind of protons these are, right? So we can clearly say this is said to be a prochiral center. Upon treating with any reagent, if HB proton reacted, one kind of product will be obtained. If HA proton reacted, another kind of product will be obtained. Both are not exactly identical. That's the reason why we are not supposed to say these two are homotopic. If both are giving same kind of formed product, that is called homotopic. Identical product, if it is obtained, that is called homotopic. Otherwise, if HA, HB reacted with reagent leads to form mirror images to each other, then we can say the relationship is enantiomeric. But in case of this, here it is clearly mentioned that the ring system, it is not the planar ring. So here somewhat twisting is there. Here you can clearly observe these bonds are wedge bonds. Here also these bonds are wedge bonds. Wedge bonds are inclined towards the weird. In order to avoid the steric hindrance, being it is a bulky group, it is not existing in the exact plane. So some helical twisting is there in the compound. And these hydrogens, upon treating with any kind of reagent, they get transformed into non-superimposable, non-mirror images. Both the isomers generated are known to be non-superimposable, non-mirror images. Let us see in the structure. So I'm treating with X reagent. This X reagent having equal probability to bind with HA proton and HB proton as well. If it bonded to HA proton, we got this kind of X substituted product at this backside. And if X is treated with HB proton, that is substituted at this position. Both the products are generated. But if we observe the relation between these two products, both are said to be non-superimposable and non-mirror images even. So non-superimposable, non-mirror images are said to be diastereomers. Hence, these two hydrogens are called, the prochiral hydrogens are called diastereotopic. Diastereotopic are nothing but by reacting with reagent, they converted into diastereomers. That is called a diastereotopic. Hence, for question number 47, option number 2 will be the correct answer. Let us move on to question number 48. The correct statement about reaction XY in sodamide. Right? So when these two compounds are treated with sodamide, what kind of statements are correct? First compound we are taking triphenyl methane. In the second compound we are taking phenyl groups on the cyclic ring. 3-membered ring, cyclopropene ring was taken. Obviously, X will react faster with sodamide because when hydrogen is discarded, we will get carbene that is highly stabilized because of resonance structure. But in case of this one, when H is removed, what happens? That becomes anti-aromatic. If any compound converted into anti-aromatic, which is not preferable, so that it will react very slowly. Compound Y react very slowly because so when H removed, we will get anti-aromatic compound that will not be favorable at all. So X reacts faster because the formed product will be highly resonance stabilized. Then Y react faster is the wrong statement because it is the complete inverse statement, right? So we can say X is only faster. Then XY behaves as a Lewis acid. No. In one case, H plus is strongly removed. H plus is here, H plus removed, then only we will get carbene. So when H plus removed, NH2 is accepted. So that is working like a base. But in case of this one here, it is acid. In both the cases, the reaction will not be exactly same. In one case, it will be the acid. In another case, it will be the base. Then option number C is also not correct. Then let us go with option number D. X is stronger Bronsted acid than Y. So because H plus readily removed from the system. If H plus readily removed, what happens? H plus donor is called Bronsted acid. OH minus donor is called the base. H plus acceptor is called the Bronsted base, right? So H plus donor, it is removing H plus readily so that it is the stronger Bronsted acid. That is also correct statement. X react faster. X is the Bronsted acid. Both are the correct statements. For question number 48, option number 2 will be the correct answer, right? So A, D are the correct statements. So which are clearly explained here. X reacts faster because generated carbene ion is resonance stabilized. Then D, stronger Bronsted acid because H plus readily removed from the system, right? And the next question, again, it is a part of organic chemistry. The correct statement about conformations of X and Y. Two different compounds are given. Only the difference is CH3, CH2, C double bond was CH3. It is simple butanone. Simple 2-butanone. In 2-butanone, 2-methyl are inclined in the anti with respect to each other. 2-methyl are gauche with respect to each other. Two different conformers are given. These two are said to be conformers. When conformers are generated, so the isomers which are originated due to the carbon-carbon single bond rotation. If you are rotating carbon-carbon single bond, whatever isomers generated are called conformers. Compound X and Y. What will be the statement? Let us see. X is more stable than Y, obviously, because two methyl bulky groups are inclined in a far apart region. Both are far apart to each other. That's why we can say this is the more stable conformation. And two bulky groups are adjacent to each other. that will not give the sufficient stability, because so it is not possible to compact, it is not possible to accommodate two bulky groups in the same place. That will generate the steric hindrance, so that Y will be least stable. So X is more stable than Y is the correct statement. Y is more stable than X is the wrong statement. Methyl groups in the X are anti. This is called methyl groups. When we are taking two carbons, the second and third carbons in the ball and stick model, so one of the methyl will be inclined in the topmost position, another methyl inclined in the bottommost position, and the bond angle is said to be 180 to each other. If two methyl are separated by 180 degrees bond angle, that is called a anti-staggered conformation. If any two functional groups in the conformational isomerism are separated by 180 degrees bond angle, that is called a staggered anti-conformation. Here also we have same relation. That's why option number C is correct. In compound Y, we have two methyl are in the adjacent position, not exactly eclipsed, but adjacent position. That is said to be a Gaussian conformation. Gaussian is also called a skew conformation, where it is an intermediate between eclipsed and anti. Eclipsed means one is reinforced upon another. Anti means one is away from another. Gaussian means in between conformation, right? So this is also the correct one. For question number 49, option number 1 is correct, C is correct, D is also correct. These are provided in option number 4. So for question number 49, option number 4 will be the correct answer. Let us move on to question number 50. The correct order of magnitude of A value for a given substituents in the cyclohexane derivative. So A value to be predicted here in the X group may be present at axial, X group may be present in the equatorial position. So conversion of axial to equatorial position, what is the magnitude value of A? A is the symbol which used to denote destabilization energy of the compound. If you are taking pH group, what is the destabilization energy of the compound? If you are taking cyano, what is the destabilization energy of the compound? If it is methyl, what is destabilization energy? That will be denoted by this parameter called A, right? So it is inversely proportional to stability of the compound. It is a destabilization energy. Where destabilization is more, that we have to predict. So if phenyl group is there, the value is 3.0, methyl is there 1.7, cyano is there 0.21. Means what? When phenyl is inclined in this position, if phenyl was taken, its stability will be least. When phenyl group is oriented in the axial and equatorial as well, now stability is least and subsequent A value will be higher. How much? 3.0. Phenyl higher. And for methyl group, this A value will be 1.7. This is a moderator. So for methyl, the value will be moderator. For cyano, it will be least 0.21. A value will be least, so that cyano group when present, it will be most stable. When cyano group present at this position, that will be most stable and least energy, A value least. So right answer will be pH will be higher, moderate will be methyl, least will be cyano. This is provided in the table in general. For methyl, for pH, that means phenyl, and also cyano group, which is provided within the table. Okay, so this is the general table which is provided for all different functional groups. A parameter is provided, magnitude of A value when they are associated with cyclohexane ring, how they impart the destabilizing energy. A is nothing but destabilizing energy. How extent they are used to destabilize, that parameter is provided for these compounds, right? So based on that data, phenyl is higher, methyl is moderate, cyano is least. For question number 50, option number 4 will be the correct answer. Let us move on to question number 51. We are taking 3 different compounds. All 3 different compounds we have benzene with what we can say this? This is called phthalimide. What is the name of compound? Phthalimide. And the second compound is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pentacyanocyclopentadiene. Pentacyanocyclopentadiene system. And third one is a tricyclic condensed system it is. Among all, we have to predict the pKa value, order of pKa value. So pKa is predicted from the acidic nature of the protons. If any compound having more provision to release H plus is called a more acidic one in accordance with Bronsted, right? So which is called more Bronsted acid, stronger Bronsted acid, which having stronger tendency to lose H plus. Okay, whose acidic tendency will be higher. So if acidic tendency is more, the pKa value will be lower because acidity is inversely proportional to acidity is, one second please, acidity is inversely proportional to pKa value. Right? So as the acidic nature increases, pKa value reduces and vice versa. Right? So among all the given options, option number Y, that means compound number Y when observed, here you can see one free hydrogen here. And this hydrogen now surrounded with so many electron withdrawing groups. So it is the fundamental thing that any carbon having hydrogen, which is in contact with more electron withdrawing groups, now that hydrogen becomes more acidic, that will be easily liberated. So in this compound, we have so many cyano. Being cyano is better electron withdrawing group and will facilitate the acidic nature of this carbon so that H plus will be easily removed. This is the most acidic compound and whose pKa value will be the least. Y should be the least. Only in the option number 3 it is given Y is least here. So let us go with another factor also. Based on that, we can conclude the entire series, right? So for this compound number 2, we have more number of electron withdrawing so that acidic nature is more. So pKa value is least. So compound Y is least pKa compound Y. And another factor is greater number of this one completed. In compound Z, least acidic nature is given because of annulation effect. Here see, these two protons are there. These two protons are highly protected by these benzenoid. Two benzenoid rings are there, both are symmetric in nature. They having strong tendency to hold the hydrogens. They are not losing hydrogens. This is called annulation effect. Because of annulation effect provided by these two benzene rings, so these hydrogens are not freely liberated out. So this compound is the least acidic among all the three known options. So it will be the least acidic, and obviously moderate will be the phthalimide. So that's the reason why this compound having least acidic, most pKa value. Higher pKa value will be given for this Z, followed by phthalimide, being it is attached to the nitrogen, and this nitrogen subsequently linked to electron withdrawing, so that electron will be liberated and acidic nature will be moderate. Right? But in case of this one, the carbon directly attached to the electron withdrawing. Here, nitrogen attached to the electron withdrawing in the adjacent center. So that's why here Y acidic nature is more compared to X. So least acidic will be Z because of annulation effect. So that's the reason why pKa of Z will be higher, followed by X, followed by Y. Okay. So there is a two kind of series were provided here. Acidic strength of Y compound is more, whereas pKa value of Z compound is more. pKa is inversely proportional to acidic strength of the compound. So the right answer will be option number 3. For question number 51, option number 3 will be the right answer. Let us move on to question number 52. It is a part of photochemistry where the following transformation proceeds through two consecutive electrocyclic processes, which are here two kind of ring transformation reactions are possible. Let us see what kind of reactions are carried in this transformation. So here, one 6-membered ring, 4-membered ring, and side chain, what we can say, vinyl group is there upon this. Vinyl or allyl group is there, and the thermal conditions are provided. We got a bicyclic ring system of expanded ring. Here it is 4-membered, now we turned into a 6-membered ring. Then what kind of transformations are possible in this electrocyclic process? We have to depict. For that purpose, first we are participating in 4n electron system, 4n pi electron system. Here, one pi electron system is there, and here also these two electrons and these two electrons are participating in this ring opening reaction. And this will be migrated and this will be shifted towards this side. What happens? It turned into an open chain molecule. This ring will be ruptured, so that this pi bond is migrated. Here we got double bond. Here this sigma bond is cleaved and these electrons are shifted, so that here are, and finally this terminal double bond. So here triene system is generated. Under thermal conditions, we are performing 4n system ring opening. Under thermal condition, 4n system is denoted as a conrotatory. 4n plus 2 thermal condition is called a disrotatory, right? So here we are taking this six pi electron system is there, right? When this 4n plus 2 pi electron system is nothing but 6 pi electron system. Now it participated in ring closure. How? These pi electrons are shifted, these pi electrons are shifted, these pi electrons are shifted, so that here cyclization is possible in this manner. Here you can clearly observe these pi bonded electrons are shifted, so that here carbon-carbon single bond turned into a double bond. Here new double bond is originated. Here ring closure will be carried. So this is the kind of system with a bicyclic ring with the two 6-membered ring systems. During this transformation, what we are doing? We are participating 4n plus 2 electron system, nothing but here 2, here 2, here 2. 6 pi electrons are participated in the cyclization reaction. Under thermal condition, it will be a disrotation, right? So in the starting transformation, 4 pi conrotatory will be there. In the second transformation, 6 pi disrotatory will be there. For question number 52, option number 3 will be the correct answer. It is a kind of concerted mechanism photochemistry question. Question number 53. The simultaneous functions of the angular momentum L square and Lz are. When L square and Lz were taken, so angular momentum apparatus to be depicted. Okay. So for that purpose, we have a statement that Px and Py orbital. Already we know Px, Py, Pz, 3 orbitals are degenerated in nature and they are inclined in the 3 different dimensions. Among these 3, Px, Py orbitals are dependent on the pi value. In the quantum mechanical conditions, they are dependent on the pi value, and whose magnetic angular quantum number is denoted with plus or minus 1. So they are dependent. But Pz orbital is independent of pi, so that L value becomes, angular momentum becomes 0. If angular momentum is 0, obviously magnetic momentum value also becomes 0. So these are the quantum mechanical postulates, quantum numbers, right? So if we are taking 2z orbital, 2s orbital is also independent of pi. If 2s orbital independent of pi, that also having the values of L is equal to 0 and M is equal to 0. Hence, eigenfunction angular momentum L square is denoted with Pz, Lz is denoted with 2s. So in this way, here, so L square is denoted with 2s, L square is denoted with 2s and Lz is denoted with 2p z orbital. Okay. So because these two are contributed with independent pi values and subsequent L value and the M value becomes 0 for these. So these are the angular momentum operators. L square is the 2s, Lz is the 2p z orbital. So for question number 53, option number 3 will be the correct answer. Let us move on to question number 54. An ideal gas is composed of particles of mass m, thermal equilibrium temperature T in one container. Another container contains ideal gas particles of 2m and 2t. Here first 2 different containers were taken and temperature T and mass m will be there. Ideal gas temperature T and mass m will be there in one container. In the second container, mass 2m and temperature 2t was taken. For this kind of 2 systems, what will be the correct statement we have to predict? For that purpose, average kinetic energy formula will be given as epsilon is equal to 3/2 kBT. Okay, average kinetic energy formula 3/2 kBT is the formula. By rising temperature 2 times, it will become epsilon is equal to 2/3 kB 2T. Temperature will be raised to 2 times. Hence, we are multiplying with 2. Now, average speed. This is another parameter. Average speed is denoted with the formula under root 8 kT by pi m. What is the formula? Under root 8 kT by pi m is the formula, where temperature rise 2 times and mass is also raised to 2 times. Then average speed is given as under root 8 r 2t by pi 2m. 2 get cancelled. Average speed is given as under root 8 rt by pi m. Hence, average speed will not be varied. Okay, so average speed will not be varied even by rising this mass and temperature. So that's the reason only average kinetic energy will be changed. Only average kinetic energy will be changed for second ideal gas, but not average speed. Even by changing mass and temperature, both the two values cancelled. When two values cancelled, average speed remains the same, 8 RT by pi m only. Only the change in kinetic energy is possible. That is only applicable for second ideal gas. So option number 3 is the correct statement. For question number 54, option number 3 will be the right answer. Let us move on to question number 55. It is a part of group theory. The lowest for D6 configuration. So D6 configuration, we have to predict the term symbol, right? For that purpose, D6 denoted with 6 electrons in 5 degenerated orbitals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 electrons are there. And what is the magnetic angular quantum moment numbers? +2, +1, 0, -1, -2 values are there, right? Here +2, -2 cancel, +1, -1 cancel, 0 always 0 itself. Then more one electron is there in the +2 level, so that L value becomes 2. How can we predict L value? We can take the sum of all these. +2, -2 cancel, +1, -1 cancel, 0 always 0. Then this more one electron is there in +2 level, so that L value, net L value will be 2 only. Okay. How many odd electrons are there in this D6 system? 1, 2, 3, 4 odd electrons are there. Each electron associated with +½ spin. 4 into +½ it will become 2. So spin of the electrons will be 2. L value is 2. S value also 2. Then term symbol. What is the general formula for term symbol? L to the power 2s plus 1 and the subscript will be j. 2s plus 1 will be the spin multiplicity. S value we can substitute. 2 into 2 plus 1. What is the value? 2 into 2 plus 1, it will become 5. What is L value? L value is 2. If L is equal to 0, it is called S. L is equal to 1, that is P. L is equal to 2, D. Here L is equal to 2 is there, that's why the term symbol will be D. Superscript will be 5, that is 2s plus 1, and the L value will be D because L is equal to 2, and J. So this J is calculated differently for less than half filled and more than half filled. If the system is less than half filled, J value will be L minus S, right? If the system is more than half filled, J value will be L plus S. Here we have D6 means more than half filled system, so that L plus S can be taken. 2 plus 2. 2 plus 2 nothing but 4. So this is the final term symbol 5D4. 5D4 is the term symbol for D6 system, right? So that is given in the option number 2. For question number 55, option number 2 is the correct answer. Let us move on to question number 56. So rate of the reaction, it is a part of chemical kinetics. If the rate of reaction R1, R2 at concentration C1, C2 of reactants respectively, the order of reaction N, assuming that concentration of other reactants and T remains constant with respect to reactant, is given by. Okay. So rate of the reaction R1, R2 and the concentrations of C1, C2 are given to this. For that purpose, we have to apply the rate law. Rate law is given as rate is equal to Kn C to the power n. R is denoted as rate of the reaction. Kn is nothing but rate of the reaction at nth order, rate constant. This is called rate constant This is called rate constant of the reaction for nth order. If it is first order, K1, second order, K2, third order, K3. In this manner, for nth order, it will be denoted as Kn. C is present in this. C denotes what? Concentration. And to the power n is there. That denotes what? Order of the reaction. First order, second order, third order. In the for first order reaction, R1 is equal to K1 to the K1 into C to the power 1. The second order R2 is equal to K2 into C to the power 2. If you are taking ratio of these two rate laws, R1 by R2 is equal to Kn C1 to the power n by Kn C2 power n. So Kn get cancelled because constant always constant only. So constant get cancelled. So R1 by R2 is equal to C1 by C2 whole to the power n. Apply log to both sides. Two sides we are applying log R1 by R2 is equal to log C1 by C2 whole to the power n. Log this ratio can be written as log R1 minus R2 is equal to. So whenever log power is there, that will become the term here. Okay, n log C1 minus C2, right? Log R1 minus R2 is equal to n log C1 minus C2. So in this way, we can write the equation. From this, we have to find the order of the reaction. Order of the reaction is equal to log R1 minus R2 by log C1 minus C2. This is the final answer what we are expecting. N is equal to log R1 minus R2 by log C1 minus C2. That is option number 1. For question number 56, option number 1 is the correct answer. Let us move on to question number 57. Again, it is a part of chemical kinetics. Experimentally determined rate law for the chemical equation. NO2F gives rise to 2 nitric oxide plus fluorine. Rate of the reaction is equal to K into NO2F. Rate determining step. Rate determining step is nothing but wherever reaction get carried in the slow manner, that is called RDS, rate determining step. And based on rate determining step, rate of the reaction depends. Here, rate of the reaction given. So whatever concentration given, that only becomes a rate determining step. Only that is given in this, where only in the option number 3 that is given. So this dissociation, NO2F dissociation is the RDS. NO2F dissociated into NO2 plus F. So that option number 3 is the correct one, because within the problem only they provided NO2F is the rate of the reaction. So that will be dissociated into NO2 plus F. That will be the RDS. Rate determining step is a slow reaction, slow cleavage of the bonds are possible. So that based on that only rate of the reaction depends. For question number 57, option number 3 will be the correct answer. Let us move on to question number 58. It is the point group symmetry. Again, group theory question. The symmetry point group of most stable geometry of the following compound. This is the system of alene. Cumulative double bonds are present within the system. Here, CHCl, double bond C, double bond CHCl. So 3 carbons, cumulative double bonds are there. And we have to predict what kind of geometry. What is the symmetry point group? What is the symmetry point group present in this? Let us take this alene system in the cubic form. And when we inserted into this, by rotating through the principal axis, it is possible to get identical halves. So that is C2 axis of symmetry. So by rotating in this manner, we will get C2 axis of symmetry in this molecule. If you are bisecting molecule in horizontal manner and the vertical manner, identical halves will not be obtained, so that sigma H and sigma V, that means plane of symmetry is absent within the molecule. Only the possibility is C2 axis of symmetry, alternating axis of symmetry is present. So C2 axis of symmetry for alene system. For question number 58, option number 1 will be the correct answer. Next is about, it is a part of physical chemistry. The eigenfunctions of Hamiltonian H. H is equal to T plus V. T denoted with kinetic energy, V denoted with potential energy of harmonic oscillator R. Okay. So eigenfunctions of Hamiltonian to be predicted. Okay. So for that purpose, we have H is equal to T plus V. So H psi M is equal to E psi N, right? So T is equal to kinetic energy, V is equal to potential energy. These are provided within the problem only. HT is equal to 0 and even HV also is equal to 0. Okay. HT product will be 0 and HV product also 0. Hamiltonian with this T denotes what? Kinetic energy. This product is 0. Hamiltonian with potential energy product also 0. So that's the reason why the Hamiltonian neither eigenfunction of this kinetic energy and also potential energy. There is no direct relation. So neither for T nor for V. For question number 59, option number 4 will be the correct answer, right? Let us move on to last question. In the potentiometric titration, the end point characterized by. So potentiometric titration is the analytical titration method, which is used to give the titration values based on the variation of EMF. Okay, so here two kind of plots will be taken. So by taking EMF variation versus volume of alkali added, otherwise differential of dE by dV versus volume of alkali added. In both the cases, we will get the equivalent point. Then for potentiometric titration, what will be the correct statement we have to depict? For that purpose, we have the plots. If we are plotting the graph for delta E by delta V versus V, differential was taken. So this change in EMF with respect to change in volume, d delta E by delta V was taken in the y coordinate and the volume of alkali was taken in the x coordinate. Here is the curvature. We got the curvature and the tip point at this curvature denotes what? Equivalent point. This tip point is denoted as the equivalent point. That's the reason why dE by dV value not exactly is equal to 0 at equivalent point. It is a higher point, higher value. Okay. Now, let us go with another possibility. Delta square E by delta V square plotted against volume. Delta square E by delta V square plotted against volume. So the equivalent point is obtained exactly at 0. The equivalent point is obtained exactly at 0 because we got such a kind of peaks. So peak and trough values are there and both are intersected at the point 0. That point 0 intersecting point is denoted as the equivalent point, which is exactly 0. So delta square E by delta V square value exactly is equal to 0. So this is provided in d by dv is not is equal to 0. D square E by dv square is equal to 0. So this is applicable for potentiometric titration for endpoint determination. For question number 60, option number 2 is the correct answer. By this entire part B for CSIR NET June 2016 session have been completed. Thank you very much for your patience listening. Hope it will be very much helpful for your preparation. Thank you very much. Thank you one and all.